Did you? Got the club going up on the Tuesday.
The big news.
Hello, and welcome to Tuesday Newsday, January 22nd. I hope you like the new open. I enjoyed putting that one together. Today's learning goal is to determine two or more central themes of a text and analyze their development over the course of the text, including how they interact and build on one another. You should recognize the scale here. The scale has been common every time that we have done a Tuesday Newsday. If you are at a 4, it means you can identify the central ideas, the evidence that the author uses to prove his or her point, and how the ideas build on one another. A 3 means that you can identify the central idea and the evidence that the author uses to prove his or her point. A 2 means that you're getting the central idea, but you're missing the evidence piece. And a 1 means that either you've got the wrong central idea or you're unsure of how to find it based on what you wrote on the worksheet attached to the article. To receive 1 unit today, 1.5 because there will be vocab, so 1.5 units today for the first lesson. I gotta make a small adjustment here. For today's first article, you must highlight or underline the main idea. Circle the evidence that the author uses to support his or her point, and box any other central ideas in the text. The 4 skills that are common every week. First is to identify the topic. The second is to summarize the topic. We're summarizing the whole article in one sentence, 10 to 12 words. The first and last sentence of the article, so the first sentence of the article and the final sentence of the article. And most importantly, the repetition, the repeated ideas, the ideas that show up often. What is the author using to help prove his or her point? Ideas that show up, multiple times throughout the course of your reading. This sheet should look familiar, as it is the cover sheet to your article in lime green. What I would like you to do today, in addition to completing the article and answering the questions, finding the main idea and the vocab, is to circle where you think you're at. Do you think you're at a 4? And we kind of went through this just a second ago. Do you think you're at a 3? Do you think you're at a 2? Or do you think you're at a 1? This kind of helps me get a feel for how I can adapt and change future stories or future articles. So it's not so much about you, it's more about me being able to put together a lesson that helps you. Today's article is titled Part-Time Work, Good for Teens in School. It was written on the 1st of January, or the 8th of January. It begins with the first paragraph here. A teen's first job, from bagging groceries to making smoothies, can provide him or her with a sense of independence. It also brings extra cash to spend on important teenage things such as fast food and cool sneakers. However, finding and keeping a job can also teach teens tons of skills and help them develop positive work habits early in life. Having a part-time job during high school might sound like a no-brainer, but parents of teens need to weigh the benefits against the potential pitfalls to determine whether working is a good choice. Drawbacks could include time away from schoolwork and extracurricular activities. Parents should also set boundaries so the teen's focus stays on his or her studies. Here we have a new heading titled Money and Life Lessons. Working as a teenager has the obvious benefit of earning money to spend and save. However, more than a simple stream of cash, working allows teens to appreciate the value of money and what it means to earn a dollar. Working teens learn an important money lesson about how much people earn per hour, says Nashika McGrath. She is a financial advisor with Edward Jones, an investment company. learning that paying taxes and other experiences are lessons in maturity and how to how to navigate in the world of becoming an adult, she says. Whether high school students continue on to higher education or move straight into the working world, holding a job during high school can prepare them. It gives them real-life financial awareness and the ability to budget and manage money. Work experience allows teens to learn time management and practical job skills that can only help them in their daily lives when they go to college and after college, says Brenda M. Brown. She's the director of business development at College Aid Services. Sierra Smalls Glover, an associate professor at Georgia State University, agrees. She says, in addition to practical matters, teens with jobs might discover new interests and talents, possibly leading to a future career path. Glover researches family youth processes and culturally distinctive experiences that contribute to positive development. Typically, we expect adolescents to make decisions about their future careers when they get to college and select a major, she says. That can be a daunting task for some. Work or volunteer experiences can provide opportunities for students to better understand themselves. Here's our heading: Balancing Work, Study, and Other Activities. Increased cash flow and financial maturity aside, having a part-time job during high school also means time away from studies and extracurricular activities. If a teen doesn't know how to set priorities, something is going to suffer, McGrath said. Holding all of that together could become overwhelming for many high schoolers. Yet sports, socializing, and other extracurricular activities offer critical life lessons and experiences for young students, so each requires attention, even simply spending time with friends. Having too many work hours can compromise an adolescent's energy and investment in schoolwork, Glover says. That has an importance for more than grades and graduation, she says. Adolescence is a key period in identity development, so time to explore self through social relationships contributes to this development. To some extent, working hours are determined by law. Minors 14 and 15 years old can work a maximum of 18 hours during a school week and 3 hours per school day, according to the U.S. Department of Labor Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, which does not limit hours for teens 16 and older. However, child labor laws vary by state. In Georgia, for instance, teens aged 16 and 17 have no work hour restrictions, but California labor laws restrict hours for those teens, on weekends or during holidays and school breaks. Those legal restrictions are often ignored, leaving teens with little time to rest. Next heading: Pay for teen jobs. There are also minimum wage exceptions for paying employees under 20 years of age. The FLSA allows for a $4.25 per hour rate for the first 90 days of employment, and full-time students and some others can be paid quote unquote less than a minimum wage under special certificates from the Secretary of Labor, the US Department of Labor website says. Employers often skirt the child labor and wage laws, particularly with seasonal or temporary jobs, says attorney Marnie Lennon. She is an assistant dean and director of Hope Public Interest Resource Center at the University of Miami School of Law in Florida. Lennon says long shifts without breaks and consecutive evenings of work while a child is in school are likely breaking state labor laws. For students planning to attend college, keeping an eye on earnings and savings should be a consideration for future financial aid awards. Brown says student earnings must be stated on the free application for federal student aid, FAFSA. It might impact students' eligibility for need-based assistance, she says. However, it does not mean that not working is the answer to receiving financial aid, Brown says. Many factors come into play when determining eligibility for financial aid, and work experience has a value on its own that goes beyond just dollars. And our final heading: Support from the boss. A supportive boss is another critical part of making a part-time job successful for a teenager. If that boss acknowledges the employee as a student and is willing to put the employee's schooling first, that can really help, McGrath explains. However, it's also up to the teenagers to communicate with their employers and take responsibility. If they need time off to study, they need to get work shifts covered, for instance. Workplace etiquette can be an unknown territory for teens. Parents should help their teens by ensuring that they do such things as following up when applying for a job, submit their school schedule in plenty of time, and keep up with uniform requirements. Also, making teens save a portion of each paycheck is a skill that can help them for a lifetime. So here's the worksheet that's at the back of your article, stapled to the back there. The first question in identifying main idea is being able to identify the topic. I think the topic becomes pretty clear in the title of the article, which is part-time work good for teens? Summarizing the story in one sentence, I think I'm going to leave that up to you because it's kind of subjective, but looking for about 10 to 12 words and in such a way that you think wraps up the story well. Question number 3 on the worksheet talks about the first and last sentence. So here that is right now. I wonder if it'll let me highlight. Looks like it will here. A teenager's first job, from bagging groceries to making smoothies, can provide him or her with a sense of independence. The last sentence is highlighted here as well. Also, making teens save a portion of each paycheck is a skill that can help them for a lifetime. Part 4 is the repetition, the repeated ideas, things that show up often throughout the course of the article. I think one of the main things that shows up is this idea of financial maturity and how independence and saving and that is important uh, and can be learned through having a job. It helps you save for college. They talked about independence and being and saving for the future. And another one is the idea that you need to balance with your school, uh, because having that balance is the best way to get the most benefits from this job without feeling too much stress. I think there are a couple of other repeated ideas, but I'm going to leave those up to you to find. I think the two that I've given you are important ones, but I think that there's at least one more, and I've requested 3 as you see here. But by all means, if you want to get to 4 or 5, that's great. And then the last thing you have to do is identify the main idea of the article, and that goes here. Use what you have written right here in identifying the topic, summarizing the story, first and last sentence, and the repeated ideas to help you decide what the main idea of the article is. Thank you. And once you turn this in, you will receive a unit and a half for today.